And so finally, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the wrap up in understanding the Constitution. The Constitution and democracy. Democracy, you might recall, was what Winston Churchill once referred to as the worst form of government on the planet, except for the other choices. Democratic government was despised and feared among 18th century upper class society. The idea of giving the unwashed peasants the right to rule their own destiny went totally against everything that they thought and believed. It wasn't just that they thought they were better than the peasants or whatnot. They were legitimately afraid of what would happen if they had that power. The Constitution, however, created a republic, a representative form of democracy modeled after the Lockean tradition of limited government. The idea was that we were creating a republic that would limit the power of the government and allow the people the maximum freedom. One of the central themes of American history is the gradual democratization of the Constitution, away from an elitist model of democracy toward a pluralist one. Not so much that it was about an upper crust or an aristocracy in all but name, but we have worked toward it being a more general doctrine, one in which all the people of the United States have a say. Today, very few people share the same fear that the founders had of democracy. While democracy sometimes gives us interesting choices, it is not feared the way it was once upon a time. There is the ongoing hope that the people will make sure that they take the time to study an issue and then actually vote on it. Constitution and the scope of government. We talked about this. Separation of powers, checks and balances, allow almost all groups some place in the political system where their demands for public policy can be heard. It does not necessarily mean that every voice will get what they want. But we have designed a system in which people can share what they want. Their voices will be heard, will be listened to. It may not end up with the result they desire, but at least they will be heard. Separation of powers, checks and balances. Those also promote the politics of bargaining, compromise, playing one institution against another, and an increase in hyperpluralism. It is the fact that we can go through and we have to learn to give and take in our political system. No one branch of government gets everything it wants. No one party gets everything it wants. As time progresses, in order to get things done, both sides must learn to give here and there. Not necessarily on bedrock solid issues that a party believes in, but they have to be able to find something. I've heard it referred to one time as politics is the art of the possible. Some scholars suggest that so much checking was built into the American political system that effective government is almost impossible due to gridlock. And there is something to be said about that. The framers wanted to make sure that decisions were not made hastily. We mentioned this before. Most of us at one point or another have been angry, upset, or something, and we have said something that we wish we could take back. We have that luxury as individuals. If governments make a mistake like that, if a law is passed in the heat of the moment, it may well be impossible to undo it. The argument is that gridlock was created on purpose to try and slow things down so that the least amount of change would happen. The outcome may end up being what could be referred to as non-decisions when hard decisions are needed. We looked at, for example, the national debt. And the question is, will we figure out a way to make a decision on how to fix something like that? Or are we going to simply kick the can down the road and hope that the next generation does it for us?